Hello, and welcome to Wisdom and Wealth. Have you ever sat in the quiet of dawn, maybe with a cup of coffee, listening to the world slowly awaken, and wondered how you can find true peace amidst this endless rush of life? We all crave that feeling of centeredness, especially as we navigate the complexities of adulthood. Buddhism, with its timeless wisdom flowing through centuries, offers us profound insights. It teaches us that peace isn't something to chase outside of ourselves, but rather a gentle awakening within. It whispers that everything meant for us will arrive when our hearts are ready to receive it, just as a flower blooms only when touched by the warmth of the sun. In this journey together, we'll explore ancient stories and reflections that reveal a powerful truth. Please remember to like and subscribe to the Buddhist Doctrine channel, if you're finding this helpful. Letting go isn't about becoming cold or indifferent to the world around you. It is about unburdening the heart from clinging, from grasping at things that cause us pain, so we can truly embrace the present moment with openness and calm. Detachment, in its purest form, is freedom. It's a freedom that allows us to love without fear, and to live without the constant ache of wanting life to be something it isn't. This is especially important as we get older, when we often have more to lose and more to regret. Today, walk with me on this path of inner discovery. Together, we'll uncover how to weave these teachings into our daily lives. We will find ways to let go of what doesn't belong to us, to hold lightly what comes our way, and to live each moment with deep awareness and quiet joy. Now, let's begin with our first lesson, the art of detachment. I encourage you to please subscribe to our Buddhist Doctrine channel for more content like this. Lesson 1, the art of detachment, the liberation of the soul. There's a story about a monk who owned only a small clay bowl. It wasn't beautiful or costly, but he took great care of it, since it was his only possession. He used it every day to drink water and eat rice. One day, while he was washing the bowl in a running brook, it slipped through his fingers and broke upon the rocks beneath. For a moment, he just stood there, watching the pieces go down the stream. Then, he bowed his head and smiled. A young follower who witnessed this asked his master, "Master, why are you smiling after you have lost your only bowl?" The monk answered quietly, "Because I knew that it never truly belonged to me. It was already broken in the future, even before it broke in this moment. Now, it has simply returned to the earth." This teaches us a fundamental truth about attachment and impermanence. Being detached doesn't mean toughening up your heart or becoming emotionally unavailable. It concerns opening the doors of your heart too wide, to stop being so attached to the ephemeral condition of life. We tend to cling onto so many things and so many people, our roles, our objects, promises, and even people. We hold on to destinies that have sucked out our souls, relationships that are choking our lives, and dreams that no longer fit us. We're often afraid to relax our grip, fearing that we will be emptied. However, the truth is that clinging is what tends to make us feel empty. According to Buddhism, through this attachment, there is suffering. We desire to have permanence where everything is ever-changing, clinging to something like craving for wind with clenched fists. By holding on too tightly, we only give ourselves a hand ache, and it escapes us, so that we end up fatigued and frustrated. Lesson 2, radical acceptance, embracing reality as it is. Picture a fall tree, its leaves turn gold and fall to the ground. The tree doesn't weep over the loss it undergoes. It holds the silent pledge of spring. It trusts to know. Similarly, by letting go, we allow something new to sprout inside us. Think about some of the times you've lost either a thing or a person. Initially, the pain was almost intolerable. But gradually, you understood that life had made room, so that it might receive something better, wiser, and truer. The thing is, when looking at the time of loss, we are too frightened to see the silent gifts that are hidden in the change. Detachment doesn't imply ceasing to love and care, it implies that you love freely, as opposed to possessively. This means that you take a deep sip of life that is given to you every day, but not to the extent that you hold it so tight, so that when it spills, you also end up breaking your heart with it. The first key to inner peace is this art of letting go. Only then, when we cease to fight against the transitory nature of life, shall we start getting that which comes to knock at our door. Our heart will be open, and our soul will be free. On that note, please consider liking and subscribing to our Buddhist Doctrine channel. There was once a young seeker who spent years meditating in the forest, hoping to become enlightened. But each morning, as he opened his eyes, the same worries returned to his mind. One day, exhausted and angry, he sat before his teacher and said, "Master, no matter how hard I try, life refuses to bend to my will. My thoughts keep coming back, my pains keep returning. I feel defeated." The master simply looked at him with kind eyes and said, "When the river flows, do you try to push it backwards? You suffer because you fight against what is. Life isn't here to please your mind, it is here to open your heart." This highlights the essence of radical acceptance. Acceptance isn't giving up on your dreams or resigning yourself to pain. It's seeing life with clarity, beyond the haze of your expectations and fears. It's about walking through each moment with your eyes wide open, without coloring it with stories of how it should be. Why is acceptance so difficult? Because our minds cling to illusions. We believe that if we push harder, fight longer, everything will align with our plans. But life is like the ocean, no wave obeys your commands, yet each carries you somewhere meaningful, if you allow it. Imagine standing before a great wave at sea. You could raise your fists and scream at its force, or you could dive beneath it, feeling its power pass overhead before rising calmly on the other side. The wave doesn't care for your resistance. In the same way, reality remains as it is, whether we accept it or not. Lesson 3, Trusting Fate, the wisdom of letting life unfold. Acceptance is not passive surrender, it is a warrior's strength in seeing things as they are and then deciding wisely how to act. It's like a skilled gardener, she cannot command the rain to fall, nor force the sun to shine, but she tends to the soil, prunes what has died, and trusts that with care and patience, her garden will bloom in its own time. Consider the archer. He draws his bow with perfect focus, but the wind may change the arrow's path. He doesn't rage against the wind, instead, he adjusts his stance, studies the breeze, and learns to shoot with its currents rather than against them. So too with life. Many forces lie beyond our control, but acceptance gives us the freedom to focus on what we can change, our intentions, our actions, our responses. Sometimes, we fear that accepting reality means we are defeated, but in truth, acceptance gives us power. It releases us from fighting shadows, from exhausting ourselves against what cannot be undone. It opens space to ask a deeper question: what is this moment teaching me, instead of why is this happening to me? This simple shift transforms suffering into wisdom. Even the darkest nights hold stars, if only we stop resisting the darkness long enough to see them. Perhaps the hardest acceptance is of ourselves, our mistakes, our scars, our hidden fears. We punish ourselves, thinking it will make us stronger, but transformation never comes from hate, it grows from understanding and gentle honesty. Like the monk who watched his bowl break and smiled, knowing it was never his to keep, we too find peace when we accept that everything comes and goes as it must. In this quiet surrender, trust is born, trust that what is meant to stay will remain, and what must leave will do so in its own time. Only in that trust can we rest finally in the deep tranquility of the present moment. I hope you are finding this as peaceful as I am. Please consider subscribing to our channel, The Buddhist Doctrine. In an obscure mountain village dwelt an ancient monk of rock-solid peace. One particular morning, as he was sweeping the temple courtyard, he was approached by a person from outside the village, who came to him in great excitement. "Master, have you heard? Your one cow is gone, lost into the forest. How bad is that? How will you drink milk or sell butter now?" The senior monk stood his broom against the wall, closed his eyes, and said amiably, "Fortune or misfortune, only time will tell." A few days later, the cow brought back with her a great bull. The villagers said, "How marvelous, master! You have 2 cattle now. How good is your luck?" The monk smiled, "Good luck or bad luck, who knows? Not many days later, while breaking a bowl, the disciple of the monk fell to the earth and broke his leg. And once more, the people of the village shouted, "How unlucky! Now your pupil cannot be of help to you." The monk, however, retorted, "Fortune or misfortune, only time will show." The weeks passed. A war exploded throughout the kingdom. Soldiers arrived in the village and took all the young men to fight, yet they did not want to take the disciple with his broken leg. The people of the village cried when their sons were going, but they all surrounded the old monk and said, "Oh, how blessed are thou, master! Your pupil is spared." And the monk bowed his head and, with eyes as calm as the silent dawn, he muttered, "Fortune or misfortune, time shall tell." The lesson here is that the construction of life is immeasurable and incomprehensible, way above the narrow ring of judgment in our familiar scope. What seems a curse now might turn out as a concealed blessing to us tomorrow. This story illustrates the wisdom of trusting fate. Lesson 4: Meditation, finding stillness amid life's storms. Consider your personal experience. Maybe you lost your chance of pursuing a career you so longed to complete, and you came across a career eventually that was actually your calling. Or it may be that you had a relationship that didn't work out, hence, you had a broken heart. However, the end of that relationship created a gap in your heart that your purest self could flourish in. Buddhist teachings remind us that nothing is ever removed from this world without a reason. What is going away is what has come to a cycle, what comes has come to a place ready to take it in. However, to observe this, we have to learn patience and loyalty, like the moon itself, which awaits every month to be full once again, without worries, without rush. I really am grateful you are here, and I would be remiss if I didn't encourage you to subscribe to our channel, Buddhist Doctrine, again. Along the winding paths of trust and acceptance, there lies a sacred practice that anchors us when life feels turbulent: meditation. In a small forest monastery, a young monk sat before his teacher, tears filling his eyes. "Master," he whispered, "my mind is like a restless ocean. I try to find peace, but the harder I try, the stronger the waves become." The master smiled gently and placed a bowl of water filled with soil before him. Stirring it with a stick, he said, "Look at this water. When it is agitated, can you see your reflection clearly?" "No, master," replied the monk. The teacher set the bowl down. "Now wait." Slowly, the soil sank to the bottom, leaving the water clear and still. The master spoke softly, "This is your mind. Peace is not created by force, it appears naturally when you allow the storm to settle." Meditation in Buddhism isn't about silencing the mind or escaping the world, it's about learning to sit with ourselves without judgment and observe each thought as it arises. Like watching leaves float down a river, carried away by the current. In our modern lives, we are surrounded by endless noise, phone alerts, deadlines, social pressures, inner fears. Our minds are rarely at rest. Meditation is like stepping out of a crowded marketplace into a silent forest, where for the first time, you can hear the whispers of your soul. Beyond its spiritual roots, science confirms meditation's profound effects. It lowers stress, calms the heart, sharpens focus, nurtures emotional resilience, and strengthens the immune system. But its deepest gift is spiritual. It reminds us of impermanence. When we sit quietly and observe our breath, we see that everything arises and passes away. Thoughts come and go like drifting clouds. Emotions appear like morning mist and dissolve under the sun. Pain, worry, and sorrow are no different. Nothing remains forever. In this simple truth lies profound freedom. It is with great pleasure that I once again encourage you to subscribe to our channel, Buddhist Doctrine. We hope to see you again. Lesson 5: Letting go of control, flowing with the universe. Many people say, "I can't meditate, my mind never stops thinking." But meditation isn't about emptying the mind, it's about realizing you are the sky, and your thoughts are only clouds drifting by. The sky remains vast and untouched, no matter how many clouds pass through it. Here are a couple simple practices to begin with. Breath meditation. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, and feel the coolness of each inhale and the warmth of each exhale. Do not try to control your breath, simply observe it, like a silent guardian watching the tides. Gratitude meditation. Each morning or night, bring to mind 3 simple things you are grateful for: the taste of fresh water, a loved one's smile, the softness of your pillow. Gratitude realigns your heart from scarcity to abundance. Letting go meditation. Visualize what burdens you as a stone held in your hand. With each exhale, imagine your fingers loosening, releasing it into a river that carries it far away. Feel your hand become light and free again. As you practice regularly, you will notice a gentle change within. Reactions soften, the chaos of life feels less overwhelming, moments become richer and more alive. Meditation teaches us to be fully present, and in that presence, we discover a power greater than control, the power to surrender gracefully to life's flow. This art of surrender is the next step on our path to awakening. Please keep this in mind as you contemplate our next lesson. Along the banks of a quiet river, a master and his disciples stood watching the water glide over smooth stones. The morning mist rose above them as the disciple asked, "Master, how can I find peace in a world that refuses to follow my plans?" The master gestured toward the river's gentle current. "See how the water flows? It doesn't resist the rocks in its path, it moves around them, embracing each turn without complaint. That is how peace is found, by flowing with life rather than struggling against it." This emphasizes the power of letting go of control. We spend much of our lives trying to control every detail: our careers, relationships, health, and the opinions others hold about us. We tell ourselves that if we plan enough, we can prevent pain and secure happiness. Yet life is like this river, ever-changing, moving with its own mysterious rhythm. The more we cling to what we cannot control, the more we suffer. Buddhism teaches that peace arrives not when everything is under our command, but when we release the illusion that it ever could be. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or becoming careless, it means recognizing that we can offer our best efforts, but the outcomes are never fully ours to dictate. We can love someone deeply, but we cannot make them stay. We can nourish our bodies with healthful food, yet illness may still visit unannounced. We can speak truthfully, but we cannot ensure we will be understood. Lesson 6. Compassion, the gentle power that heals. There is a story of a man who slipped from a narrow mountain path and, in panic, grabbed onto the root of a tree jutting from the cliffside. Dangling there, exhausted and terrified, he cried out for help. Hours passed, his fingers aching with pain, until at last, his strength gave way. He let go, bracing for death, only to find himself standing on solid ground a few feet below. How often do we live like this man, gripping tightly to things that exhaust us, believing that letting go means certain doom? We cling to jobs that drain our spirits, to relationships that suffocate us, to dreams that no longer fit the person we are becoming. We fear that if we release them, we will fall into emptiness. Yet it is often in letting go that we finally find the solid ground we were seeking all along. How do we learn to let go? First, by accepting that uncertainty is woven into life itself. There are no promises carved in stone. The real source of our fear isn't uncertainty itself, but our resistance to it. We can choose instead to approach each day with curiosity rather than dread. Ask yourself, what hidden gift might life offer me today? Often, what we see as problems are doorways in disguise. Losing a job may open space for your true calling to emerge. A heartbreak may free your heart to receive a love that honors your soul's depth. Every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning. Another way to practice letting go is to act without clinging to results. Paint because you love the colors, not because you need praise. Write because words free your spirit, not because you seek approval. Like children who play simply to feel the wind on their faces, we too can learn to live with pure presence. One quiet morning, a weary traveler sat by the temple gates, tears falling onto the dusty ground. A monk walking by stopped for a moment and gently asked, "Why are you crying, my friend?" "I am not worthy," the man sobbed. I've hurt those I care for with my anger. I cannot forgive myself, my mistakes press on me like heavy stones. The monk sat beside him and said, Tell me, if a bird punished itself for falling by breaking its own wings, how could it ever fly again? Guilt is the stone that drags us into darkness. Compassion is the breeze that helps us rise back to the light. This story demonstrates the transformative power of compassion. Buddhism teaches that compassion is one of the strongest forces in life, yet we often forget that it must first begin with ourselves. We speak kindly to friends, forgive their small wrongs, and comfort them in pain, but when it comes to ourselves, we become harsh judges. We replay past mistakes in our minds, point out every flaw, and whisper things to our hearts that we'd never say to anyone else. Does this cruelty help us grow? No. A tree cannot grow well when its roots are cut, it grows when its roots are cared for with patience and sunlight. As we grow this inner compassion, we begin to share it naturally with others. We start to see that every person we meet is fighting quiet battles, carrying invisible burdens. Compassion then becomes a gentle understanding that no one is perfect, but everyone deserves love. There is an old story: a man carries a sack of rocks on his back. Every stone he picked was a grudge he held against someone who had wronged him. At every step his knees grew weak under the heavy load, yet he still refused to let go. The transformative power of compassion. With that said, would you mind clicking like and subscribe to the channel Buddhist Doctrine one last time? Conclusion. As we reach the end of today's journey, remember this: life will always remain uncertain. People will come and go. Plans may fall apart, and dreams might change their form. Yet inside you is a quiet place, untouched by the noise of the world, a place of deep peace, trust, and quiet strength. Every time you choose acceptance over resistance, compassion over judgment, and presence over anxiety, you return to your true home within. Now, if today's teachings brought you clarity, just imagine what life could be if rooted in these truths. I invite you to reflect on which lesson touched your heart the most. Write it down and keep it close today as a gentle reminder. And if you wish to keep growing on this path of peace and wisdom, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Every day, we share timeless Buddhist teachings to guide your life with calmness, courage, and compassion. Also, a special bonus lesson is waiting for you in our next video to help you go even deeper on this journey. Until then, may you move with life like a gentle river, trust its wisdom, and walk each step with a peaceful heart.